Alright, what's up guys? This is the chapter 2 any% tutorial for Celeste. I've had issues recording this chapter specifically because I like teaching a lot and this chapter doesn't leave much to the imagination, so to speak. I'm going to use a lot of terms such as hyper and wave dash that are explained in the chapter 1 tutorial if you need that. But a lot of the screens I'm just gonna say things like fast movement and then I'm just gonna move through the screen correctly. So basically you just need to get better at understanding Badeline's momentum and her ability to move throughout the screen at the fastest speed possible. There's a lot of things that go into that, like where the character is jumping, how the character is jumping. Generally you want to be at hyper dash or ultra dash speed, which are the fastest Badeline can move. So I'm just going to go through some of the screens and just explain them and explain the importance of some of those techniques as opposed to explaining the screens individually like I do with most chapters, since these screens are more about just moving Badeline correctly than they are about any like secret tech or understanding strategies or anything like that. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the first thing you want to do in chapter 2 is hyperdash into the transition. You're going to actually hyperdash 3 times into the castle, and this is the same for this screen after you wake up as well. So it's going to be hyperdash, hyperdash, hyperdash. When you get to this one, you want to bunny hop to get to this piece of floor right here. And what bunny hopping does is bunny hop maintains your momentum for the most part. Badeline loses speed while airborne, but the first like little bit that she's jumping, she actually like keeps the speed, and you can see that like that. So like if you just lightly tap jump and only hold it for a certain amount of frames, you're actually not airborne long enough to lose momentum, and that's why she's so fast when she's bunny hopping around. So if you actually bunny hop perfectly, you would actually just like almost lose very minimal speed, but it's really impractical to expect people to bunny hop perfectly upon touching the ground. So we just use like 1 to 2 bunny hops at a time while we traverse chapter 2. But the reason we want to bunny hop is because we want to hyper into this screen. So if we hyper from here, we'll just reach the transition and then we'll lose speed overall because we'll be airborne too long. But if we bunny hop here, we'll maintain the speed, and then hyper here will refresh the screen. And when I say hyper, I sometimes mean wave dash. Wave dash and hyper are interchangeable. You'll be able to see that from the bunny hop. I'm just going to wave dash because I'll be airborne, and there's no point in landing and then doing the hyper dash. When you go into a transition, there'll be 2 trajectories that you can go at. If you're holding jump, it'll be 1 trajectory, and if you're not holding jump, it'll be a different trajectory. And you can see I hit the floor a lot sooner there. For the most part, you want to be grounded so that you can keep hypering, and like I said, you lose speed while airborne, so you don't really want to be flying. So unless I tell you otherwise, most of the time you will, when I say hyper into transition, it's without holding the jump button. Alright, so let's restart this chapter here, and then you'll get to see the product of everything I just said. So hyper, 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 bunny hop, hyper. And you saw I got all the way here with just a bunny hop at the door, and that's just like the power of the way Badeline moves. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cancel that momentum with a down dash to get into the pit. So it looks like this. Then you want to dash across this and then get to the bottom here. If you hold down, it's just as fast as dashing. So while you're falling, make sure you're holding down to fall as fast as possible. This screen does require a little bit of memorization so that you understand where the floor is, because you want to avoid this floor and you want to avoid this floor. So you want to go all the way out and then all the way back in to get here. From here you can hyper to the exit and then dash into the wall to break it. After you break the wall, you don't want to press any directions. You just want to land where she broke the wall. It's not that specific. Like, you can be a little closer, you can be a little further. You're not gonna like die for moving Badeline, but it just makes the tricks easier if you just like minimize the things that you do. So what you're gonna want to do in this next screen is you're gonna want to hyper dash into the screen and then bunny hop to maintain the momentum so that you can skip the whole going up and down around the spikes. And it looks like this. See, like normally you would have to go up on the wall and then jump to the jewel and then do a whole bunch of other stuff. Actually, this actually looks kind of complex now that I look at it. But by doing an extended hyperdash, which is this, that's also substituted by a bunny hop on a transition. So those are almost essentially interchangeable as well, either bunny hopping or doing an extended hyperdash. Sometimes when you enter a screen you won't have enough space to do an extended hyperdash, so it's good to get used to bunny hopping coming into the transitions. And then if you want to move just as fast as possible, you'll just wall kick right away, get the jewel, and then dash over, and then go into the next screen. This next screen is another screen where an extended hyperdash will get you through. This screen is actually difficult to hyper into because the ground is elevated here, and so the trajectory you'll come in from a hyper is actually different because the ground is not the same height. So I don't recommend trying to bunny hop here, even though it is technically possible. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stand about 3 of these squares away from the exit, the edge I mean, and then you're going to want to extend that hyperdash under the wall and then dash up twice using the jewel. So it looks like this. And that's what the room looks like. Remember that if you're doing like all strawberries or something, why is my game freezing? Come on. If you're doing like all strawberries or something, you have to actually come down here. Go down first to get the strawberry. Actually, I think you can get that even after the block is there. But anyway, if you want to be advanced and you want to like optimize the crap out of Badeline, you can actually do this from this screen. It's just instead of a bunny hop, you would dash off of this platform and then do a wave dash that's extended. And this is what I do in my any percent runs. So basically, when I come in the screen, I get that jewel, I jump over, I land here, and then from here I just dash forward, and then I die because I'm bad at the game. I'm sorry, I mean, like that, and then dash. So again, it's an extended hyper dash from here. After you clear the thing like this, that's when you want to dash up forward. So it's a little tight, but you want to make sure not to dash into the wall because that'll kill you for sure. So the next screen requires a cutscene skip, and I can only show it once, so I don't want to trigger it too early because you can't retry after the cutscene skip. But the way the cutscene is triggered is by being within range of the mirror and then exiting the range of the mirror. So what you want to do for this skip is you actually want to be level where Badeline's head is level with this dream block above the mirror. And what that does is that when the cutscene ends and the game tries to put you in the middle, it actually gets you stuck in the dream block and you're able to dash up right away without having to go from the floor. And then, so the best way to do that is to extend that hyper to the mirror and then dash up and to the left past the dream block. Since you come in airborne off of this screen, because you come in off an up dash, you can actually do a wave dash like that. And then you'll maintain your dash. And then you see my head is level with the dream blocks. I skip the cutscene and I'm stuck in the block. You just see her little toes dangling. But if I had pressed up and dash, I would have dashed through the block. I didn't even know you could fall out of it. But yeah, so after you come out of the block, you want to come this way, and then this is going to be the first of a lot of screens that is just optimizing your movement. So I'll do the simple way, and then I'll do the hard way. Oops. That's wrong. I haven't done the simple way in a while. I have to remember it a little. That was the simple way, and then this is the hard way. Both of them should end with a wave dash that exits the screen, and then after that wave dash you should always bunny hop on the screen and dash through the dream block here. By the way, if you wanted to get the cassette, it's completely south of where I currently am, and it requires the dream blocks to be activated. And if you want to get the heart, this is the last chance. You have to get it before you go into the Badeline section, but most of the time you'll get the heart at the start of the stage if you're doing an all hearts run. So after bunny hopping here, I'll just dash into the dream block, and then I want to jump out of this dream block and dash up through the next one. You generally want to dash up on the right hand side of this one so that you don't have to dodge the wall. One single dash will not reach the platform regardless of which way you do this, so you're going to want to climb the wall once after the dash. To exit the screen, you have to dash out the top here. It's actually faster to dash through this dream block to replenish your dash, so it looks like this. If you jump on the first frame of coming out of that transition through, like, because you dashed into the transition, you get a wall bounce the way I just did. And if you hold jump, you can reach all the way up here. If you're not comfortable doing that, or you miss the timing a lot, you can actually just dash all the way up. From here, it's again just going to be some fast movements. I'm just going to hyper dash and bunny hop a lot to get to the exit. This screen, you can actually do 3 dashes to get through this first block. It's a little bit height specific, but it's pretty lenient, to be totally honest. I think it's better for you to just go into this screen and just practice what ways you actually die doing this. You'll find there's not that many. You gotta kind of be too high or be too low or be way too far to the right or way too far to the left. Those are like really the ways you die. But if you're anywhere near the original entrance of the screen, like where the screen puts you, not falling. If you fall and land, you mess it up. But like where the screen leaves you, which is right here where I have it paused. If you're anywhere in this general vicinity, you can dash 3 times diagonally through the block to get through it. Like that. When you come out of this block, you want to hold left to get to this side, and then you want to dash up and to the right to come over here. And then that's how you... So again, you come up here. Oops, I don't know why that happened. And I like to try to be smack dab in the middle. So like I wall bounce off of this thing, and then I like let the wall kick, like get me into like the middle like that. I don't like to be against either wall. I feel like it runs the risk of dying. So I let the wall kick like put me in the middle, and then after it puts me in the middle is that I start my dashes. Now that was too far to the right. Actually, it might have been just too low. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is the start of the Badeline section. After you skip the cutscene, you're going to want to dash immediately up forward and land on the elevated ground. The Badeline section actually is pretty strategical, so I am going to explain these screens, but then the whole Awake section is just fast movement. So this is going to be like the last little bit of explanation here. Dash up forward, wall bounce here. And again, this is kind of hard to explain on Death Cycle because Badeline won't be in the same place. But it's dash up forward, and then dash up to wall bounce. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always just dash up forward and climb the wall. But it's nice to wall bounce because when you go into the next screen, you kind of want to be in the middle right here from wall bouncing twice. Well, the second one would be a wall kick, but yeah. So coming into this transition, I immediately wave dash to the left. And as long as you're not too high on this dream block, when you jump out of it on the other side, you should be able to grab the second dream block, and it looks like this. See right there, I was too high. So in my runs, I actually purposely let her fall a little bit from the wave dash. I don't try to do it as fast as possible. If you grab this dream block and then get all the way to the top of it, you can actually dash straight to the exit. Like that. So again, and if you want, you can just like walk. You don't have to. Wow, I'm surprised I didn't reach. Like that. I know I see people reach like all the way from the bottom of the block. I don't know if I'm just like jumping late or what it is. There we go. I never get that, but that's why I don't go for it in runs. I just kind of jump from there. But it's pretty straightforward once you know what you're looking for. If you fail it, you can always dash up and then dash down left. This next screen has a similar story. You want to jump off the right wall and then go to the bottom left corner of the dream block before dashing up and to the right through it. The easiest way to do it is to just wave dash off the transition and maintain your dash. Like that. And that prevents you from like flying straight up and having to fall all the way down. And then when you dash right out of this bubble... Actually, I should explain a few things about bubbles. I'm trying to pause the game, but it's not letting me. Okay. Yeah, it really doesn't let me. I'm trying to pause it as I exit that bubble, but whatever. Right as you're exiting bubbles, like right where I am right now, this is where you have to input the jump input if you're trying to jump out of the bubble. So this is what makes it a little confusing, is that jumps are while you're in the bubble, but dashes are after you leave the bubble. So if I wanted to dash back into this block, I would dash after exiting the block. See? Like that. But if I want to jump out of the bubble, oops, I have to press it before, because if I press it after exiting the bubble, it's already too late. See, like right there, it did a jump. Oh, right there, it did actually. So there's a little bit of a grace period, but you don't want to rely on that grace period, to be honest. Generally, with the jump input, I like to try to jump around the white line of the bubble. That's where I try to input my jump, just to be safe. So just something to keep in mind. That dash that you can do right after exiting a bubble, that's another thing that has a little bit of a grace period to it. So because the game gives you that little grace period to dash, it makes it a lot easier to do stuff like this. To get up here, like that's surprisingly consistent because of the grace period that the bubble allows you. Like just as soon as you exit the bubble, press up and dash, and you'll be lined up with either the wall or the ice, and either way you just wall bounce all the way to the top. So that's good things to know. So this next screen, you come in airborne like this. You want to hold left and you want to dash up and to the left to get on the ground. After doing that, you want to wave dash off of this elevated ground and then get all the way to the coin. And by doing a wave dash, Badeline will go so low to the ground because she's copying you that you'll be able to wall kick and dash up over her afterwards. And for the wall kick, you want to do like a slight hesitation, like you just don't want to do it instantly, but you do want to do it relatively fast. It looks like this. See, I like just pause for a second and then I wall kick and dash over her and I'm up here. And the reason for that is because you just want to give the block time to get down so that you can land on it. If you go too fast, you'll have to climb the block and that's just slower. If you land on the block, generally as it's coming down, like where I am right now, you can almost always just dash straight up to the exit. So it's just dash up, dash left, dash up. The fastest way to do this screen is actually to not use the dream block at all. What you want to do is you want to climb the snow where the spikes are under the first coin, and then jump over to the coin and then dash up to the next coin. And what I like to do is I like to wall kick off of the left hand side here after I come into the screen. So I come into the screen, I hold left, and then I wall kick to the snow, and then I climb it. Sometimes I wind up landing on that little ground. Either way, it's the same difference to me. When you're up here, you want to do an extended hyper dash and hold jump to grab that third coin and then fall on the last coin and dash out of danger. And then from here you just dash up to the block. This screen is a fast movement screen. There's no trick to it. I'll show you the standard way people do this screen, and it looks like this. Oops. The normal way people do the screen. You could do wave dashes too. Some optimizations that I've started adding to the screen, and it looks something like this. That one hurt my lip. And then another way you can exit the screen is by instead of jumping out of the dream block, you can actually just dash straight and then dash up. If you're in the dream, oops, fuck. Actually, I don't know how Teach does this, to be totally honest. Oh yeah, it was like that. I just did it wrong. And then he wall bounces here to the top like that. I'd never used dash strat, so I'm gonna stop attempting it. From here you want to hyper into the next screen, but you want to hold left just slightly upon entering so that you touch this platform and then dash forward. So those 3 straight dashes are the fastest way to do that part right there, the first half. I actually fall closer to the strawberry and then dash up forward over the spikes so that I don't have to climb, but I need to change my muscle memory, so I do that straight dash because it's just faster. When you get right to this tip right here, you want to do a dash jump, so don't hold down. You want to do a dash jump so it goes nice and high. And then you want to hyper to the coin, hyper back, and jump over the block. And the dash jump, what it does is it sets up Badeline to go really high, and then you can just sneak in under her. And this is shout outs to YP. I got this strat from him. So, like that. And you'll see that they're nowhere near me, and I can just go into the door. But you got to be clean on that hyper right and hyper left. If you're too slow there, you're going to get stuck behind the block and get pushed into the corner, and it's just going to be a mess. So make sure you got some clean hypers. This next screen is probably one of my favorite screens in the whole game. I'm gonna do it my way and then explain some variations because it's just a really long screen with a lot of fast movement and it's kind of hard to explain it and like do it if I keep pausing it. So I'm just gonna try to execute it. Okay, that was the screen. Now in slow-mo. Now that I did it right and you saw what it looked like, I can explain it in slow-mo. So the first thing you gotta do is you gotta dash immediately down right after exiting this bubble on the right. And then you have to jump after exiting the bubble a second time. So it's like this. This path, you can just land on the wooden bridge if you need safety. But sometimes if you're too close to the bridge and you try to dash into the wall, the bridge itself like cancels Badeline's dash. So you wanna, I like to just completely miss the bridge. I just go straight far to the right and then aim the dash, and it always like squeezes me into the crevice as opposed to trying to land on the bridge. But you can just land on the bridge if you want. It's nice and safe. It's just as fast. It's just up to you how you want to do it. The crumble block inside the passage, remember crumble blocks disappear faster if you get off of them. So you want to bunny hop as soon as you land on the crumble block to make it disappear. You then have to dash immediately to the left, and you can decide whether or not you want to fast fall in this section. It's really tight if you don't have the area memorized initially, so I recommend not fast falling at all until you have the, you might have saw that I don't even fast fall the whole time. I kind of alternate whether I'm fast falling or not depending on how safe I am, but it's, you gotta go right under this and then here. If you pick up that jewel, you can wave dash instead of landing, but if you land here, you just extend that hyper dash to the bubble. The first time you exit this bubble, it's with a jump, and that's how you get to that coin all the way on the other side and pick this. You then want to wave dash back. That's just the fastest form of movement. If you want to take a safe path on the bottom, this wave dash has to preserve your dash. So make sure you're preserving your dash so that you can dash over the top on the bottom. And this is what the safe path looks like. Oh, I didn't preserve the dash. I'm gonna die. And this is why it's hard to explain this and play at the same time. Okay, so I'm actually just going to show all the easy strats. So the first easy strat is to not jump out of the bubble and not wave dash, and that's just dash forward, dash back. Oops. And of course I missed it, because these are all strats that I used to do, but not really anymore. Okay, you just dash back from the coin, and that way you don't have to worry about the wave dash. As soon as you touch the coin, you just dash back. So right here, when you fall, you see there's a little like Tetris three-pronged platform here on the right. If you dash over that platform, on your way back, the battle lines will be above you, and then you don't have to worry about them. So you can just come here and then get through. You always want to jump out of this platform out of the bubble going to the left. There's just no reason not to. I even add in a dash to get to the coin even faster, so I dash down left here. Just to preserve my momentum. And then because you have to wait for the block to open anyway, you don't have to hyper back. The block is really slow to open, so you could just do regular dashes so that you don't confuse yourself, and then just dash back like that and then exit. Alright, so that's the end of all the strategical stuff. The rest of this is just going to be like fast movement. For this first section, one thing I do recommend here is to not hyper from up here. You don't want to hyper from up here. You want to, because if you hyper from like back here, or no, I'm sorry, it's from up front. Like, so you don't want to come off of this exit here and then go all the way to the end and then hyper. Because if you hyper, what's going to happen is you're going to run into this wall. And if you try to bunny hop, you're actually going to wall kick back into the other screen. You're just going to lose a bunch of time. So what I do is actually, instead of holding forward, because you usually, like, you come out of up here, you hold forward, like, and then wave dash, like you're gonna be here, see? And then you wind up stuck on the wall. So instead of holding forward, I just land back here, and then I hyper, and then I hyper. And then that lets me bunny hop, because I'm further from the wall. So again, that's one thing to watch out for, is to not get too close to this transition before you get into it. So it's faster to go bottom here, and I like to wave dash into this transition just to maintain momentum and be able to bunny hop. Same thing here. See, I got corner fucked there, but usually you can bunny hop without a problem. And then you want to wave dash from here to the next platform, and then bunny hop to the third one and wave dash again. and another bunny hop. So you can just see at this point I'm just alternating bunny hops and wave dashes, bunny hops and wave dashes. Hyper, hyper, bunny hop, hyper, bunny hop, hyper. This screen actually, it does have a strategy coming up. It requires you to wave dash into the screen pretty close to the transition and then bunny hop twice. And this was shoutouts to TGH, he came up with this, and it's been really helpful for me. So usually you come over here and you hyper here and then you jump and you wave dash, and then bunny hop, and then a bunch of hypers like that. So if you don't do those bunny hops, you have to do dash jumps to like get, because it's too high to, the platforms are too high to hyper to them. So you have to do dash jumps, and dash jumps are slower than wave dashes or hypers. So this just lets you move through the screens a little bit fast. Whoops. Yeah, and you also can touch the spring else too close to the boundary. And if you are bad at the bunny hops, you'll lose momentum like that, and then you'll wind up down here, and it's just pretty hard. So in general, this is just like one of the more technical, this is one of the more execution demanding like segments period in the game. Like it's chapter 2 is one of the, like you'll easily lose 3 to 5 seconds on this section just from being bad at controlling Badeline. So like this, and then like this. Oh, I don't think I should, I think I was just supposed to bunny hop there. Maybe wave dash again. And you can see, like, even myself as a more experienced runner, it's still like really difficult to optimize these screens. But yeah, that's chapter 2. It's one of the more execution heavy levels, but a fun level to grind because it's short. So, you know, just practice it up, and in no time you'll be getting those sub 2s. Take care, guys.